Hey everyone, it's Mr. Fink. So here's your recap for Act 2 of Romeo and Juliet. I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but also keep in mind the important things that happen in Act 2. So, scene 1 starts off. It's immediately after the boys leave the Capulet party, right after Romeo and Juliet kiss, right after they find out that they're from opposite families. So, it's immediately after that. Romeo and his friends are leaving, but he decides to actually stay. He decides to leave his friends and actually stay, but they don't see him. And then Benvolio and Mercutio are looking for him, and they're calling him. And this is supposed to be a pretty funny scene. They're yelling to him. But the most important thing that I want you to get from this is right here, where Mercutio actually says he's trying to conjure him. He's trying to make him appear, and he says that he'll make him appear. He's almost being like a magician by Rosaline's bright eyes. Neither one of them, Benvolio or Mercutio, neither one of them know anything about Juliet. Okay, so that I just wanted to be perfectly clear that they are still under the impression that he is in love with Rosaline, which is the girl he was in love with at the beginning, because that is an important part of the play that will come back later in Act 3, which is what you're going to read for this week. So again, they're having a little joke with him. Mercutio is giving all these puns, and we're kind of seeing through this quickly because, to be honest, this isn't that important except for that whole thing with Rosaline. Okay, so keep going on and on, and then they basically give up. Benvolio says it's vain to seek him that means not to be found. So Romeo's trying to hide, and they're trying to find him. If he doesn't want to be found, then let's give up. Okay, then we move on. And we go on to scene 2. Okay, and this is probably the most famous scene in all of Romeo and Juliet, definitely, and probably maybe even the most famous scene in all of Shakespearean plays, which is the balcony scene, where Romeo is standing on the ground and Juliet is up in her bedroom, and she walks out onto a balcony, and they are speaking to each other. Now, the important thing to know is that at the beginning here, in this long part with Romeo, he does not come out of the shadows just yet. Okay, so he's, again, just like he was hiding his friends, he's sort of hiding right now. And it's interesting, or what's unique, I guess I should say, if you've never seen a play, whether it's Shakespeare or seen a Broadway music or something like that, is that it's really hard in a play to show someone thinking, because if they're thinking in a movie, you can do a voiceover. If they're thinking on stage, I guess you could technically do a voiceover, but they on stage for the most part, a lot of times they do their thinking out loud. Now, so Romeo is talking right here, but Juliet can't hear him or see him. So he's talking, he sees her. He says that she's like the sun. She has eyes like two of the fairest stars in all of heavens. He's not sure if he should say anything. He wishes he were a glove upon her hand that he might touch her cheek. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. She says, I may. She is, just, she's saying anything, but she's also thinking about Romeo just like Romeo is thinking about her. But she can't hear or see him at this point. Okay, he's talking about that she's an angel. And then she gives this very famous line, "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" And a lot of people believe wrongly that wherefore means where. Where are you, Romeo? That's not what wherefore meant at that time. Wherefore actually meant the word why. So what the question she's asking is, why are you Romeo? Why are you Romeo? Of all people that I could have fallen in love with at that party, I had to fall in love with Montague. Ugh, I can't believe my luck. That's kind of what she's saying. If only you weren't a Montague. And she says, deny thy father and refuse thy name. I wish you would just say that you were no longer a Montague anymore. And if you won't do that, maybe I'll do that, and I will cast off mine and won't be a Capulet anymore. Okay? Again, Juliet still doesn't know that he's there, so she's talking to herself. And again, famous line for this from this play, that which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. What she's referring to is, who gave you, students, your last name? Someone probably just made it up. For the most part, it was probably one of your ancestors. It was probably one of their jobs. But that's honestly where the last names come from. They're arbitrary. So why can't I love Romeo? She says, someone just decided at one point that this flower that we call a rose, that's the name that they were going to give. If they called it another name, it would still be very sweet smelling flower, no matter what you called it. So she's kind of comparing Romeo to this rose, in that it doesn't matter what his last name is. She still loves him, just like it doesn't matter what the name of the flower is. It still smells beautiful. Okay. So we go down here, and Romeo here finally reveals himself. I take thee at thy word. And she's sort of startled by this. She didn't know that he was there. And she still doesn't know who it is. What man art thou? What man are you? She doesn't know who he is. And then he finally does reveal himself, that he is Romeo. And she says, are you Romeo? And he says, yes, I am. Okay. They talk about the fact that they're feeling the same for each other. Romeo says he jumped over the wall with love's light wings. Okay. Juliet's talking about it. Please don't get caught, because if my family or, the guards find you, then you would be killed. Okay. And they would, stab you with 20 of their swords, and they go all this place. Let me skip down a little bit more. Sorry. Juliet here is talking about that she's embarrassed because she has basically admitted that she loves him, and she heard her say that. So, kind of on and on and on. Again, I apologize. We would have spent a lot more time on this, but we just honestly have all the time to get through this. Juliet says, swear you love me. And he says, I'm going to swear by the moon. And Juliet says, no, don't do that. Don't swear by the moon. Romeo says, well, what should I swear by? She says, don't swear at all. Okay. And then they finally get to a little bit of a plan here. Okay. And it's coming right here. Okay. The nurse calls her back in. Then Juliet comes back out. Okay. Here's where the plan is. If Juliet says, if your purpose is marriage, send me word tomorrow. Okay. So if you're really serious about this, then come talk to me tomorrow and we can get married. They have just met hours before this. So this is very, very, very sudden. But Romeo says, okay, I will do that as well. I will find, or I will send someone to make this all work. Okay, and they say good night, and they keep coming back out and again, and there's back and forth, and it's kind of almost like if somebody's talking and you don't want to be the person to hang up on the phone. You want the other person to hang up first, and they just keep going back and forth, and then a very long scene, and we're just going to keep going. And finally, this scene is ending, and we get to the point here where it tells us where he's going in the next scene. I will go to my ghostly friar's close cell. Now, what he's talking about is a character that we'll meet in the next scene, which is for Lawrence, and his cell, sort of like his room. Okay, so he's not a prisoner or anything like that. So let's meet Friar Lawrence, who's a really important part of this. So Friar Lawrence is by himself at the beginning of the scene with a basket. Okay, he's collecting flowers, and he's talking about that some flowers do good things, and they can cure you, and they can heal you, and other times flowers can kill you. Okay, so he talks about that right here. In this infant rhina this week flower, there's poison, but there's also medicine. So flowers have both healing properties, but they also have, killing properties at this point. And the friar knows this. The friar knows the difference between the two. Okay, so collecting those herbs and flowers. Okay, so then Romeo comes in. He basically tells Friar Lawrence what happened last night with Juliet. Okay, Friar Lawrence again doesn't know, just like his friend, anything about Juliet. He assumes that he's been with Rosaline. Okay, he finds out right here. He says, "Our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight." So it's the morning. He hasn't been to bed yet. I don't know. I don't want to know what's been going on. Is kind of what he's saying. Okay, he says, "Was thou with Rosaline? I mean, did you spend it with her? Did that happen?" No, I have forgotten that woman's name. Okay, he's talking about, oh, I found someone else. Okay, and the thing that I found was Juliet, and that Juliet is a Capulet. And Friar Lawrence, finally gets an idea, and Friar Lawrence says, "Oh, I can be sort of the hero here. Okay, be the savior, if you will, and I can get this feud between the Montagues and the Capulets." And that's right here. Okay. I'm going to turn your household's rancor to pure love. So rancor is kind of bitterness and fighting, and he's going to make it into love. So, we'll do this, and we'll get the two of you together, and then the feud will be over. And then again, Friar Lawrence will be sort of the hero of it all. Again, I kind of went through that really quickly. Okay. Then we go to another shorter scene with Benvolio and Mercutio. Again, they have not seen Romeo. They haven't seen him since the party. This is, again, the next day, right after the party. And the kind of revealing thing here is that Tybalt has sent a letter of challenge to his father's house. In these times, you would challenge people if the person sort of mistreated you. So if you remember, Tybalt was upset that Romeo was at a party when he wasn't supposed to be. So Tybalt challenged Romeo to basically a fight or a duel. Okay. Romeo doesn't know this yet. Just the two of these know it. Yes. Okay. So back and forth, and there's all these puns. There's all these kind of like dirty jokes. But again, we're just going to kind of skip through a bunch of these. And here's the thing: is that Romeo comes out. Okay. The two of them, Benvolio and Mercutio, as this, again, there's a lot of puns. There's a lot of sexual jokes here. I'm not going to get into at this point. Basically, the main thing you need to know is that Mercutio and Benvolio are seeing a change in Romeo. If you remember, Romeo is all, down in the dumps, and he's, so angry, and he's so sad, and he's so depressed. And now they see him being himself. And where is that line here? This keeps going. Okay, here we go. Mercutio says, "Why is not this better now than groaning for love? Isn't this more fun of us looking around and the boys than being all depressed about Rosaline not loving you?" Again, they don't know why he's happy, but they've seen him sort of turn a corner. Okay, so now we have the nurse and her servant, whose name is Peter, and the nurse is coming on behalf of Juliet to get Romeo's, idea about marriage. He had a couple hours to think about it. Does he still want to go through with it? Now, they're making fun of her. Mercutio, for the most part, Benvolio is really not, but Mercutio is. Then Benvolio and Mercutio leave, which is right here. Okay, and then it's Justin and Romeo. Okay, and the nurse says, "Are you sure that you are still interested?" Again, I'm skipping so much, and I feel so bad. Sorry, William Shakespeare. I feel like a terrible teacher, but I need to get you to the bones here. Okay, Romeo says, "Yes, I still would like to marry Juliet. Have her come to shrift." Now, shrift, if you clicked on this, is confession. So the belief is before you get married, you should confess your sins so that you have a clean conscience in the eyes of God, so that when you get married, you'll have no sins on your soul. So Romeo says, "Come to the friars to do confession, and then you'll have shrift," which is again confession, "and be married." Okay, and then Romeo says, the other thing to do is